Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Cantor. Shabbat Shalom, everybody, though. Oh, thank you. And Shabbat Shalom to everybody joining us online tonight. As always, a big special thank you, as always, to our members. We could not be Temple Emanu-El without you. Rabbi Rachel, Cantor Lauren Adesnik, and Thomas Ballou on the keys this evening. And friends, you guys are in for a special treat tonight. If you didn't know, tonight is the Jewish Heritage Shabbat, where Cantor Adesnik is going to be singing the beautiful melodies and music by Ben Steinberg. So some of these, I know that when she was singing them to me, I was like, oh, I know that one. So maybe a few of them will be familiar. And she's going to tell you all about them as we go through the service as well. Friends who are online, the service is being pinned into the comment section of the Facebook feed right now. Those of you here will be following along. Everybody, I think I saw came in with your blue Mishkan Tefillah. I'll be calling out page numbers for that. Since we are outside per CDC guidelines, masks are optional. If you guys need to head inside or further outside, exit behind you. This doesn't really get you anywhere. Go ahead and take a second, put your smartphones on silent, put your smart watches on silent, none of those beeps or buzzes. And everybody who's on Facebook, if you haven't already begun to, please wish one another Shabbat Shalom. Let's do the same here. Turn to a neighbor, give them a little Shabbat Shalom, and we'll join back together with our Nigun. Let's get comfy in our seats, perhaps 2 feet on the floor. Flutter your eyes closed if that helps. We're going to leave behind everything we did this week and enter this hour or so, set a time for prayer, for recognizing Shabbat. So we'll take 3 deep breaths together. First one, deep breath in. Let it out. Second one, we start to recognize the new space that we're in. Deep breath in. We let it out. With this third breath, we'll set beside everything leading up to this moment so that we can soak in Shabbat. Deep breath in. We let it out. Go ahead and flutter your eyes open. We'll turn to page 120. Robert, could you grab 4-seatering? Thank you. So on page 120, you will find our candle blessings. Friends who are at home, now's a great time to get your candles out to light with us. And I'll ask that everybody please rise.
There we go.
Oops.
We bring in all of the warmth. Oh, hold on a moment. Can't let
Not
that
enough
happen.
warmth.
Not enough warmth. All of Shabbos warmth and energy of flame and Shabbos love. We make our bracha together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu
Friends, we'll turn to page 142. And at this time, if you would like to light your own Shabbat candles, you can do so right back inside. We just ask that you put your mask back on when you head in there. And friends, if you're staying out here, you can go ahead and be seated. Shalom Aleichem, page 142.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei So Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to the first Shabbat of our Jewish Heritage Shabbat series. What is this Jewish Heritage Shabbat series, you ask? Over the course of the year, these Shabbatot will delve into the works of a particular Jewish composer, or they will feature a unique style of worship, and just will serve as a way for us to experience something new together, to learn together as we pray together. So tonight we are going to experience the music of Ben Steinberg. Ben Steinberg was not a cantor, but he was born to a cantor who hailed from Ukraine. He was born to cantor Alexander Steinberg, and by that time they lived in Winnipeg, Canada. So Ben Steinberg is truly an international composer. This year he is 91 years old. Pretty amazing. So his compositions and his work really focus in the field of Jewish music. They have had such an impact across all of the Jewish denominations that he was made an honorary member of the American Conference of Cantors. That's the union that cantors like me belong to if you're a Reform cantor. Most notably, opera star Richard Tucker and actor Ed Asner have performed his works. I thought that was really cool when I found that out. So the nigun that we sang at the beginning of this evening offered a connection to the nigun, as we say in Yiddish, nigun. A nigun is a wordless melody. It really is designed to invite everybody in to singing, to give Shabbos a sense of uplift. And this particular nigun is called Nigun Talmidei Besht. The Besht is Rav Nachman of Brussels. No.
The Baal Shem Tov.
The Baal Shem Tov, sorry. That's what it is.
Wait, because he's the best.
Right?
Get it?
Because
Get it?
he's the
Get it?
best.
Get it?
Yes, I love it. Yes, I knew I was going to mess that up. But in any case, We are now going to move into our Kabbalat Shabbat, the welcoming of Shabbat. And most Friday nights, we start with Lecha Dodi, but really, there is a lead up of a number of psalms, and Lecha Dodi really becomes our pinnacle, like the ultimate moment. That's when the bride is entering our sacred space. So we are going to hear Shiru Ladonai. You can find the text on page 131. You can find the translation on page 132. This piece truly blends participatory melody in a conversation with your cantor. In this dialogue, we are going to join together in a steady refrain, elevating the words Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, sing a new song to God. This is Psalm 26. As you hear me daven, you're going to hear the delicate word painting that Steinberg created to help everything come alive. Because in this psalm, nature comes alive, thundering and shouting in awe and in praise of God. Shiru Ladonai. Mizmor Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash. Let's try together. Shiru
turn to page 138 as we welcome that lovely bride that Cantor Adesnik was telling us about, sort of this pinnacle moment, this high point in Kabbalat Shabbat. B'charodi, page 138. Standing for our call to worship, Baruch Hu, page 146. 152, we declare God's oneness. Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Shem kevod malchuto, le'olam va'ed.
Please be seated. Our Ve'ahavta on page 154, I just have like a cute little thing. So this week, Rabbi Max and I started to point out the mezuzot in our home because we finally put them up. And we're trying to teach Zohara. You see it, you kiss it, you touch it, and you kiss it. And she has figured it out. So if you want Jewish pride, it is like the itty bitties recognizing a mezuzah on the door to touch and kiss and recognize that they're in a holy home. So with that in mind, Ve'ahavta 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני
Adonai Elohechem.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Our next two prayers in our liturgy, Micha Mocha and Hashkivenu, are truly linked to each other. Micha Mocha brings us into the splitting sea, marching with our families into becoming a Jewish people. And here Steinberg again brings the cantor and the congregation into a dialogue, this time with a swaying chorus, echoing the feeling that one might have if you were jostled side by side, side to side, in haste to escape Pharaoh. Or maybe you feel that sway of the ocean, that constant motion of the ocean. The chromatic melismas we will hear in the solo are in a special mode called Ahava Rabbah that really, truly echoes the drama of our journey to freedom. So we arrive on the other side of the ocean, comes back together, and we have no idea where we are going as a Jewish people. And we continue to wonder and to wonder. For 40 years we wonder, right? And Hashkivenu is our specific nighttime call for protection and safety. And we know that as we wandered, the desert God would accompany us by fire at night and by a cloud during the day. And here we are calling out for those wings of shelter. So our composer invites the congregation inward to the text, to the melody, and inward into themselves, into yourselves, so that in allowing the music to wash over you, you might feel the protecting embrace of God's wings. Micha Mocha is found on page 158, and then we'll continue on from there to page 160.
Friends, we turn to page 163 as we give ourselves a little chance to transition out of such a big and amazing, sheltering prayer of everything. I liked that one. So friends, let's pray together to the top of page 163. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. Our prayer for Shabbat, Vishamru. This past Sunday, our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade classes, their madrachim and their teachers at the Diamond Family Religious School, they had the opportunity to hear from George Rishfeld, who's actually right here. to hear his story of survival during the Holocaust. And for those who haven't had a chance to hear from, or well, now everybody here has had the chance to meet George, he is a Holocaust survivor with an incredible story and a member here at Temple Emanu-El. Now, I've had the privilege to hear George's story several times, and each time something sticks with me in a new way. And this time, it was the story of the pact that his parents made with the family that took George in, the Franchkevich family. And I actually wrote it in here. And George, please forgive me if I'm butchering the name. But now you're here to correct me, so that's great. So this pact was that if neither of his parents survived, then the Franchkevich family would raise George as their own and in the Catholic Church. When he began his time with them, they gave him a St. Christopher medallion to wear around his neck. In their eyes and in their belief system, this medal would protect him. And for George, the medal became like a lucky charm and a part of the uniform that would keep him safe and help him to survive. A good luck charm for George, a religious medallion of protection in the eyes of the Franchkevich family, and a part of a survival uniform. It's a pretty powerful little pendant. And after surviving the war and moving to the United States with his parents, no less, George went to a jeweler and had the medallion melted onto the back of his Jewish star. And so now, it became a good luck charm for George, a religious medallion that in the eyes of the Franchkevich family protected him during the war, a remnant of his survival uniform, and a Star of David, formerly co-opted by the Nazis as a negative marker, but now a symbol of pride for George. That's some necklace. And after religious school, Max and I were driving back home, and we spoke about George's story, what stood out to us this time, etc. And I told Max how the St. Christopher story stuck out to me this round, but that I was embarrassed to say that I didn't know what St. Christopher represented. And Max, being Max, says, "Oh, St. Christopher, patron saint of travelers." And St. Christopher earned his sainthood because his strength allowed him to help people cross a dangerous river. And as the legend goes, one of the people he helped was a child who later revealed himself to be Jesus of Nazareth. And our conversation in the car, it pivoted a little bit as I expressed that there has always been something interesting to me about the way that those practicing Catholicism, as well as a few other lines of Christianity, that they have saints as a part of their practice. And Max named those feelings that I was having as holy envy. Holy envy. I envied, I still do kind of, that people can feel such a strong connection to their faith through this avenue of a saint and its story. Thankfully, this was a long car ride because it allowed us to find a conclusion to the rabbit hole that we were digging deeper and deeper into. And the holy envy that I had, it was for the chance to have a protecting symbol nearby. And then it hit me. We have kippot, or as I wear my headbands, to remind us that God is always above, always around. We have mezuzot on doorposts to protect our homes and remind us of our mitzvot. And we have, for example, like the hamsa, that are culturally understood to be good luck charms that ward off the evil eye. But here's the catch. In the United States, less to do so with the hamsa, but when a Jew puts on a kippah or hangs a mezuzah on their door, there is now reason to pause on those choices every single time in a way that our Catholic neighbors need not think twice about wearing their medallion. I'm upset by this. We should all be at least a little bit upset by this, because in a country with religious freedom of religion, it kind of sucks to feel that way. And that is why George tells his story of luck, miracles, some of us call it, survival, and he shares the stories of the atrocities of the Holocaust. That is why George wears his star. Because within 2 generations of Holocaust survivors, more and more of our children face anti-Semitism. The reality is that it now takes courage, awareness, and strength to walk our streets recognizably Jewish. Our Muslim friends are in a similar situation. And so I realized then that my holy envy went much deeper than the medallions. Not only do I wish that the little hamsa around my neck provided a sacred security system of protection, but more than anything, I envy that there are so many other religious groups who never have to think about their outward religious appearance quite like we do. And one more example that comes to mind is the soccer players that I grew up watching. When they would sub in for the match, and do all their jumping and stuff, they then do, right before they entered the pitch, they do a cross over their chest and then head out onto the pitch. And as a fan of all these guys, I always thought it was so cool that they had this public spiritual good luck moment before they ran out there. But I also knew that it was someone else's spiritual moment. Crosses and Judaism just don't mix. And so my spiritual envy here, it's really twofold. In one way, it's that I wish that Judaism had a cool little action move to express our spiritual moment. But the other, like before, it's that even if we had one, even if we had that cool spiritual moment movement, would a Jewish athlete today feel safe if they publicly had that moment in front of tens of thousands of people in stadiums all across Europe or America, England? I know England's in Europe, but that's who I used to watch. And I'm not so sure that those athletes would, especially given there's lots of cases of anti-Semitism in football, soccer clubs, especially in the Premier League. And for all of these reasons, our job is to continue to fight hate. As a little girl, I didn't realize that that little move was something special and safe for that person to do. I didn't realize that it wasn't just that I didn't have a cool move of my own to do, but that even if a Jewish player stepped to that line, there's a really good chance he wasn't going to do anything to signal to those fans, chanting anti-Semitic cheers as it was, that he was Jewish. So for all of these reasons, our job is to continue to fight hate, to ensure that not only our children know the history of our people, but that all children know the history of our people. There is no opposing narrative to the Holocaust that lives in any sense of reality. We must continue to keep Judaism as a visible and tangible part of mainstream culture, not only for ourselves and the next generation of Jewish children, but because a diverse world is a beautiful world. We shouldn't have to be afraid. We are stronger together. And like George, we know that it will take the help of our religious neighbors and those with good hearts to help us fight for all these things that are right to make a better and safer world. Keni hi ratzon May this be God's will. Shabbat Shalom. And so, friends, we're going to have a little time for reflections on the thoughts that private reflections, on the thoughts that I've just shared, as we're going to just do our little Nusach introduction to the Amidah, and then I'll invite you to pray the prayers of the Siddur, of the prayer book, or to pray the prayers within. And once you have finished those prayers, we'll invite you to please be seated. So first, please rise as we join together briefly in Adonai Sifatai, page 166.
Adonai Sifatai Tiftach Ufi Agitehi Latecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. I have to say, I was so moved by your offering of your thoughts of George's story, and thinking about a world today, we yearn for peace. And not just any peace, but a great peace, a enrobing, enwrapping peace. And that's the kind of prayer that I think Shalom Rav is. In this particular setting, and later, as we near the close of our service in his setting of Oseh Shalom, Ben Steinberg offers a sensitive, gentle plea for peace. Shalom Rav is a beloved melody in our congregation, and you will recognize it as soon as you hear it. It's melodic, it's inviting, it's also dramatic. There are octave leaps that we hear in the solo that illuminate this idea of an all-encompassing, abundant peace. That is really the kind of peace that this prayer is so desperately asking for. Oseh Shalom, that we'll hear a little later, is a contrast. It's more of a gentle lullaby. And in that setting, the composer leads us to the close of Mourner's Kaddish, as if we might close our eyes, drop into sleep, and imagine our loved ones encircling us once more. We can find the words to Shalom Rav on page 178. Shalom Rav al
It is my pleasure to call forward a co-president of our Board of Trustees, Robert Wittenstein, to share with us a few announcements.
Thank you, Rabbi Rachel. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Before I go to the announcements, as Rabbi Rachel was speaking tonight, I was remembering the last time I heard George Richfield tell his story, and it was at the Islamic Center in Alpharetta with Harriet and Norman and a number of other of our congregants, and with a group of about 150 Muslims, many of whom had fled Turkey because of persecution in Turkey, and they were riveted by George's story. It was a remarkable evening, and it was they were really quite moved by his story, and it made it more powerful for us, I think. So, George, thank you for your continuing to tell your story. I just wanted to highlight one thing going on, continuing Rabbi Rachel's class on Jewish attitudes towards death and dying. There are two ways you can participate. You can either do it on Tuesday evenings from the comfort of your home via Zoom, or you can do it Wednesdays at lunchtime right here in person on this very deck. So I would encourage you, if you have an interest, to please come and learn. And I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. Oh yes, don't go too far. Exactly. So some Shehechianu moments. Let's share those good things going on in our life. Birthday celebrations, anniversaries. You got a good grade on a test, Francis? Anything, you know? Feel free to share it. For example, Rabbi Rachel and my parents are getting to town on Monday, so looking forward to that. Open the floor.
I'm Rich Lappin, and week before last, I had an opportunity to visit the town where I was raised, Charleston, South Carolina, and I got to see a sister who lives there, a nephew, and one of my cousins who'd come in from out of town for a Rhodes Scholar trip there, and it was a wonderful visit. Hadn't had an opportunity for all of us to be together in years, so it was wonderful. I was glad to be there, glad to be back.
Awesome. Thank you. Cantor.
Okay. Wow. So many good things. But you know what? I'm celebrating my mom being officially done with tax season. All the extensions are complete as of October 15th. So we are very happy.
Mazel tov.
Yes.
And anybody else who I didn't know was an accountant. Wonderful. So for all of these great things, we'll join together in Shehechianu 648. Just as we have the happy things going on, we also know that we're complex humans who hold lots of emotion, and that sometimes things are tough. We have friends who are sick, family that is in need of healing. And so we have Misha Berach to offer to them a prayer of strength to them, a prayer of strength for ourselves, a prayer of strength for the community. And we are especially praying for Ellen Young, Jerry Penn, Robin Zussman, Stuart Young, Sandy Geller, Eric Seidel, Caitlin Sylvie, Brett Samsky, Mayor Ben Rachmiel Vadina, Yeda Bat Yosef Lev Miriam, Howard Silverstein, Howard Ackerman, Ken Schiffer, Helen Ray, Ashish Sharma, Ludmila Koven, Hannah Hazen, Melissa Siegelman, Carol Collins, Michelle Lappin, Emily Kaufman, Mandy Bush, Stacy Sylvie, and Bud Hinneball. If there is somebody that you are praying for this Shabbat, I invite you to say their name aloud as my eyes meet yours. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I invite everybody to please rise. If you're with your pod, wrap an arm around. If not, know that I'm reaching out to you. Misha Berach, page 371 in the middle. Friends, we will remain standing as we sanctify Shabbat with Kiddush, page 123. Would you like to hold it, or do you want me to?
I'll let you hold
Okay.
because my hands are freezing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, forei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila levikra'ei kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, b'kol ha'olim, v'shabbat kodshecha, ve'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu, baruch atah Adonai, v'kadesh hashabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim. Taking one for the team. All right, friends, we begin to conclude our service with Aleinu L'Shabeach, page 586. We will remain standing. Zollers, which you're in the front row. You want to come open the ark? Thank you both.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gidula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot, ve'lo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, la'anachnu koreim, u'mishachavim u'modim, Lifnei melech, mocher hamlachim, hakadosh
you. You may be seated. As always, a big reason that we as a Jewish community come together in prayer is to reach this point in our service to recognize and remember those who have died in recent days and those who have died in seasons past. And on this Shabbat, we are praying for those families and thinking of those families who are in the period of Shiva for Phil Siegel, in the period of Shloshim for Cheryl McCormick and Doris Bernice Cebulski, as well as those who are observing yardzites for Jason Abbott, Carolyn Ahrens, Elliot Bommerand, Alan Bubis, Saul Codner, Evelyn Eisenberg, Selma Elkin, Betty Flam, Ginny Friedman, Elsie Froman, Bernice Gerson, E.C. Goldberg, Edward Goldsmith, Ira Goodman, Paul Goodman, Bernard Greenstein, Helen Leff, Jack Lesser, Manuel Lifshas, Sidney Livingston, Mary Malice, Marietta Mayer, Harriet Mervis, Luba Hackman Nyron, Mendel Saperstein, Harry Schwartz, Kenny Seidel, Bernice Sugarman, Mari Weil, Harold Weinberg, Jerry Weintraub, Jeffrey Whitehorn, Irene Wilson, Jack Young, and Francis Zoller. If you are first, if I've mispronounced or have missed a name this evening, I invite you to please share that name aloud. Thank you. If you are in a period of Shloshim, the first 30 days, mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to please rise. If you are in the first year, mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to please rise. If this Shabbat you are commemorating a yartzeit, a death anniversary of a loved one, please rise. And if it is your custom to rise for Mourner's Kaddish, as it is here at Temple Emanu-El, I invite you to do so now. We pray together, page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. Vit adar, vit ale, vit halal, shemei kudusha barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imrum, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imrum, amen. Osei shalom b'imrumav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Friends, we will close out our service this evening with just a little taste of Adon Olam, page 625.
Adon
Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat
everyone.
Shalom.
Please join us under the tent for a little oneg.